how have all these issues that we've discussed today, what do you now think, how do you think that's impacted your view as to whether or not we're going to see a recession in Australia or in the US?
Yeah, I think let's do Australia first, because we could easily see a negative quarter in 2024 in Australia. If you might remember, if we go back to the end of 22 coming into 23, I said a recession in 2023 in Australia was likely. I then modified that slightly later when I started seeing the immigration numbers, and I said, look, let's accept. I mean, at the end of 2022, I didn't foresee that the Australian government would allow 750,000 people to arrive in a single year. I thought it might be 200, 250,000, maybe 300,000. I never dreamt that we'd see 750,000 new people arriving in a single year. And I modified that view. And I basically, to me, then it was, let's acknowledge that, 750,000 newly arrived immigrants are going to buy a lot of sofas, a lot of fridges, a lot of microwaves, a lot of whatever you buy when you move to a new country. So, and without that, literally without that, we would have undeniably had a contraction in the economy last year. So look, is there going to be 2 consecutive negative quarters of GDP in Australia? I don't really know. I'm not going to say I don't care, but it's not a kind of high conviction feeling I have around that. I unfortunately still think, as we saw last year, that Australia has, the headwinds. Economic headwinds are here because we've got very high levels of interest rates relative to history, got the sticky inflation, Reserve Bank pretty much on hold, and there's other drivers as well. So I'm not going to make a big flashy recession call in 2024, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 1 negative quarter. I think that's within the realms of statistical probability. If the fourth quarter we were growing at just 0.2 of 1%, it doesn't take much for the ABS to produce a number of minus 0.1. I'm not going to get too excited about that. The United States, okay, as I've said at great length, for those of your clients, Eugene, that suffer the pain report, aptly named. Obviously, I got the US economy wrong in 2023. I've beaten myself brutally in my written communication to my subscribers and to audiences around the world. So acknowledging again, I got the economy wrong in 2023 in the United States, notwithstanding that every single thing I looked at was telling me that there was a recession, but I underestimated the degree of fiscal stimulus that the Biden administration is unleashing, which is just staggering. But perhaps that leads me into making a couple of comments about the US market. Look, is there going to be a recession this year in the United States? Obviously, everyone is on the soft landing page now. I mean, there isn't an economist out there virtually, because those of us who were forecasting recession got a lot of egg on our face. And what we tend to do is we kind of go, oh, you know what, we're going into hibernation. I would not be surprised that we still see a significant deceleration in growth in the United States through the course of 2024. I think growth is slowing. Whether we have 2 consecutive negative quarters, I really don't know. But if I had to attach a probability in a percentage term, I'd say there's a more than 50% probability of a hard landing in 2024. I'm still in that mindset because I think monetary policy acts with long and variable lags. I did underestimate the degree of fiscal stimulus. I thought Washington would just be a little bit more responsible. Clearly, they haven't been. We're running a budget deficit as a percentage of GDP well over 6% now. That is the highest budget deficit to GDP ratio outside of wartime in outside of war and also recession in American modern history. So let's just be very clear about that. So my US economic view, I'm still below the consensus, and I'm still not ruling out a hard landing in the United States. I think Europe's had a hard landing. I think the UK's had a hard landing, and I think the Chinese economy is experiencing a hard landing. And yes, I acknowledge the exceptionalism of the United States.